The rain hissed like a scorned lover against the windows that night. My fingers trembled around the wine glass as thunder split the sky. Then came the knock, 3 sharp raps that felt like gunshots. I knew it was not Stanley. My husband was in Chicago, finalizing a deal, or so his text claimed. But when I opened the door, there stood Leonard, soaked and smirking, his gym bag slung over one shoulder. "Miss me?" he whispered. The lie I had nursed for months curdled in my throat. The storm raged as Leonard's hands carved a feverish path down my body, his lips sealing mine in a kiss that tasted like bourbon and ruin. My back arched against the foyer wall, his tool pressing insistently through the damp fabric of his jeans as I fumbled with his belt. The ache in my hole throbbed in time with the thunder, a reckless hunger overriding reason. He peeled my sweater away, my oranges spilling free, his mouth claiming them with a groan that vibrated against my skin. "This is all you've wanted, isn't it?" he growled, lifting me onto the staircase railing, my legs wrapping around his hips. But as he thrust into me, the headlights sliced through the curtains. Rachel's scream shattered the heat, her eyes wide as she took in the scene. My oranges flushed, his tool still buried in my hole, and the truth, raw and ugly, laid bare. I was Kathleen Hartman, 34, a curator at a gallery in suburban Connecticut. Stanley, my husband of 9 years, was a corporate lawyer whose ambition had replaced his affection. Our home, a Victorian relic with too many empty rooms, echoed with silence. We had stopped trying for a baby. We had stopped trying, period. Leonard entered my life at the gym, all taut muscles and reckless charm. He was a personal trainer, 28, with a habit of lingering near the ellipticals. "You look tense," he would say, thumbs pressing into my shoulders. I laughed it off until the day he traced my wedding ring and murmured, "Does he even see you?" That night, when Leonard appeared at my door, the air thickened with bourbon and danger. He stepped inside, droplets from his jacket staining the rug. "I could not stay away," he said. I did not ask how he knew Stanley was gone. I did not care. The wine, the rain, the years of neglect, they fused into a single, combustible moment. His lips grazed my neck. I did not pull away, but then headlights speared the driveway. Tires crunched gravel. Leonard froze. Expecting someone? Panic clawed up my spine. The door swung open. It was not Stanley. It was Rachel, my best friend, her mascara streaked like war paint. She stared at Leonard's hand on my waist. "You idiot," she spat. "Did you think I would not find out?" The ground tilted. "Rachel? Rachel?" She tossed a manila envelope at my feet. Photos spilled out, Leonard and me at motels, parking lots, his apartment. "You took everything from me," she hissed. "Now I take him." Leonard stepped back, hands raised. "This was never about you, Kath." The truth detonated. Rachel had sent him. This was revenge. For what, you ask? That comes later. Before I continue, thank you. To every subscriber who has followed this journey, your support is my compass. To new viewers, welcome. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, do it now. This story, it's raw, it's real, and I cannot tell it without you. Share your thoughts below. Let's begin. Loneliness is a slow poison. It starts as a whisper, a hollow ache in the ribs, until one day it roars. By the time Leonard began circling my life like a wolf, I was already starved. Stanley had become a ghost in his own home, suitcases packed for trips he never mentioned, dinners eaten in silence, his side of the bed cold as a tomb. I told myself it was work. I told myself it would pass. Lies are easier when you're the one spinning them. Leonard's strategy was precision. He did not rush. He did not beg. He observed. At the gym, he memorized my routine. Mondays and Thursdays at 7 a.m., elliptical machine by the window, lavender-scented towel in hand. He would accidentally bump into me near the water cooler, his fingers brushing mine as he handed me a paper cup. "You look exhausted," he said one morning, his voice syrup-thick. "When's the last time someone took care of you?" I laughed. It sounded brittle. "I am married." "So?" His grin was all teeth. "Marriage isn't a cage." The text began innocently, a meme about wine, a link to a gallery exhibit. Then came the late-night check-ins. "You seemed stressed today. Everything okay?" I replied out of politeness. Then out of loneliness. Then out of hunger. Stanley was in Boston when Leonard first came to the house. "A client dinner," my husband said, though his location tag showed a hotel in Cambridge. I did not confront him. Instead, I opened a bottle of Malbec and texted Leonard a single question mark. He arrived in 20 minutes. We sat on the porch, the autumn air sharp with a smell of decay. Leonard spoke of his fractured childhood, his mother's addiction, his craving for something real. I spoke of Stanley's distance, the miscarriages we never discussed, the way love can curdle into duty. When his palms slid over mine, I did not flinch. When he said, "You deserve to feel wanted," I let him peel the wine glass from my grip. The first kiss was soft, a question. The second was a confession. By the third, my wedding ring lay abandoned on the coffee table, and Leonard's hands were everywhere, kneading the ripe curve of my oranges through the lace of my bra, his breath hot against my throat. His fingers slipped beneath my waistband, rough and urgent, finding the wet heat of my hole. I gasped, arching into him, my nails scoring his back as he lifted me onto the counter. Glasses shattered on the floor, but neither of us flinched. He peeled off his shirt, his tools straining against his jeans, and I fumbled with the buckle, driven by a hunger that drowned out reason. When he finally slid inside me, the fullness stole my breath. His hips pistoned, relentless, the rhythm punctuated by the slap of skin and the creak of the cabinets. My oranges bounced freely as he gripped them, his mouth latching onto a nipple, biting just hard enough to make me cry out. Guilt flickered somewhere distant, drowned by the primal drumbeat of yes, yes, yes. When release tore through me, I choked on his name, my whole clenching around his tool, as he spilled into me with a groan that sounded like victory. Dawn came too soon. Leonard slept beside me, his limbs tangled in the sheets, while I stared at the ceiling. The smell of sex hung thick, musky, and sweet, and the ache between my legs felt like a brand. This is how it happens, I thought. This is how you lose yourself. The lies metastasized. I told Stanley I was working late, then met Leonard at motels with flickering neon signs. I deleted messages, hid receipts, invented a fictional book club with Rachel, my best friend, who nodded and smiled, her eyes glinting with a secret I would not decipher until too late. One December night, Leonard pressed a key to his apartment into my palm. "Keep it," he said, "in case you ever need to run." I should have thrown it into the Hudson. Instead, I slid it onto my keychain, where it jingled beside the key to a home I no longer recognized. By then, the cracks were spreading. Stanley began leaving his phone face down. He started asking about my gym friends. Once, I found him staring at our wedding photo, his jaw clenched like a fist. When I touched his shoulder, he recoiled. But it was Leonard who shattered the facade. On New Year's Eve, as fireworks bled red over the city, he pinned me against his bedroom wall and hissed, "Tell me you love me." I hesitated. His grip tightened. "Say it." In that moment, I saw the predator beneath the poet, and I realized, too late, I had never known him at all. Suspicion is a silent predator. It pads through the mind on velvet paws, leaving claw marks on trust. Stanley's doubts began as glances, lingering too long on my phone, his brow furrowed as I recounted my day. Then came the questions, sharp as shrapnel. Why are you home so late? Who is texting you? Each inquiry was a needle threading our silence into a shroud. I became a sculptor of alibis. Work ran over. Rachel needed me. The lies slithered out, smooth and practiced. But Stanley was no longer the man who accepted half-truths with a distracted nod. He began leaving early, returning late, his briefcase snapping shut like a trap. One evening, I found a GPS tracker tucked beneath the passenger seat of my car, its tiny LED eye blinking red. My blood turned to ice. Leonard's ultimatum came on a Tuesday, his voice crackling through the car speaker as I drove. End it with him or I walk. The demand was a grenade. I pulled over, hands trembling on the wheel. I need time, I pleaded. He hung up. Time was a currency I no longer possessed. Stanley's surveillance tightened. He installed security cameras under the guise of protecting us, though his gaze lingered on the feed longer than necessary. I deleted messages in bathroom stalls, showered twice a day to scrub Leonard's cologne from my skin, and buried my guilt in Chardonnay. Rachel, ever the confidant, met me for lattes at the corner cafe, her manicured fingers tapping the table as I unspooled my fears. Stanley's losing it, I whispered. She leaned in, her perfume, a floral poison, filling the space between us. Maybe you should leave him, she suggested, her tone honeyed. You deserve happiness. The irony was a knife twist. Meanwhile, Leonard oscillated between tenderness and tyranny. He left bruises on my wrists after arguments, then soothed them with apologies and jasmine oil. You make me crazy, he would murmur, lips grazing my ear. I mistook possession for passion. The reckoning began with a receipt. Stanley found it crumpled in the laundry, a charge for a motel we had not visited together. He confronted me at midnight, the paper trembling in his hand. Explain. Panic rose like bile. I blamed a client, a mix-up, a clerical error. His laughter was hollow. You think I am stupid? That same week, Rachel accidentally sent me a photo, Leonard shirtless, smirking at her mirror. Wrong thread. She texted, followed by a laughing emoji. The room spun. I called her, voice shaking. What is this? She sighed. Kath, we need to talk. We met at the park where we had once pushed our children on swings. In another life, before miscarriages and malice. Rachel's smile was blade thin. Leonard was mine first, she said. My knees buckled. She detailed their plot. The seduction, the staged photos, the GPS tip-offs. You stole Stanley from me in college, she spat. Now you know how it feels. The ground fissured. Leonard's whispers, Rachel's advice, all choreographed to break me. I lunged at her, nails raking air. She stepped back cold. Check your email, she said. You will want to see what Stanley just found. I raced home, my phone buzzing with notifications. Stanley stood in the living room, our wedding album ablaze in the fireplace. He did not look up. Pack your things, he said. On the screen, a video played, Leonard and me, tangled in his bedsheets. The timestamp, New Year's Eve. The night Stanley had begged me to reconcile. The walls closed in. Leonard had sent it. Betrayal, I learned, is not a single blade. It is a hall of mirrors, each reflection a new fracture. Fire has a way of reducing even the most carefully constructed lies to ash. Stanley did not yell. He did not weep. He burned. Our wedding photos, my silk robes, the love letters I had written him during our courting days, all fed the flames in the living room hearth. His silence was worse than rage. It was a void. He had known for weeks. The hidden camera, disguised as a smoke detector in our bedroom, had captured everything, Leonard's visits, my whispers, the way I clutched another man's back while wearing Stanley's ring. You watched? I croaked, hugging my knees on the floor. He poured himself a whiskey, his hand steady. Every second, he said. I needed to be sure. The video had been sent to him anonymously, though I knew Rachel's fingerprints were all over it. She had orchestrated this. Leonard's seduction, Stanley's torment, my annihilation. But revenge, I would learn, was a two-headed beast. I fled to Leonard's apartment, my knuckles splitting as I pounded his door. He opened it shirtless, a smirk already forming. You did this, I screamed, shoving the USB drive of the footage into his chest. His smirk died. He dragged me inside, slamming me against the wall. You think I wanted this leaked? He snarled. Rachel's playing both of us. She's got a file on Stanley, too. Things you don't. The blow came fast. His fist cracked against my jaw, and I crumpled, tasting blood. Leonard loomed over me, his breathing ragged. You ruined everything, he hissed. She promised me cash if I broke you. But your husband, he's got skeletons. Rachel's blackmailing him. Now he will bury me to save himself. The room tilted. Stanley's late nights, his evasiveness, the whispered calls. Had they been guilt, not indifference? Leonard yanked me up by my hair, his voice a growl. You want the truth? Rachel's been his mistress for years. Those business trips? They were with her. This was never just about you. Betrayal, it seemed, had layers. I escaped when Leonard turned to snatch a knife from the counter. I ran, barefoot, through alleyways slick with rain, my mind racing faster than my legs. Rachel's face flashed in every puddle, her faux sympathy, her nudges toward divorce. She had not just stolen my marriage, she had engineered its implosion. Stanley was gone when I returned home. So was his passport, his Rolex, and the gun from his nightstand. The police found his car abandoned at JFK the next morning. A flight to Belize had departed at dawn. Leonard vanished too. Rachel's townhouse was emptied, a for sale sign stabbed into her manicured lawn. Neighbors said she left in a hurry, trunk stuffed with boxes. But the truth did not vanish. It festered. A week later, an unmarked envelope arrived. Inside were photos of Stanley and Rachel in Costa Rica, dated 2 years prior, tanning on a beach, her hand tucked in his waistband. Beneath them, a note in Leonard's jagged scrawl. You think you're the villain here? Turn on the news. The screen flickered to life. A breaking alert. Stanley's firm was under investigation for embezzlement. Missing funds. Offshore accounts. His name blazed in Chiron red. I sank to the floor, the final piece slotting into place. Rachel and Leonard had not just broken us, they had used us to bury Stanley's crimes. And I had handed them the shovel. Divorce papers arrive in a crisp manila envelope, stamped with the blood-red seal of the state of Connecticut. I signed them on the hood of my car in the courthouse parking lot, rain smudging the ink. Stanley's lawyer watches, lips pinched. He wants no contact, she says. Ever. The words are a mercy. The scandal bleeds beyond our town. News vans camp outside my apartment, their lenses devouring my unwashed hair and swollen eyes. Homewrecker, someone spray paints on my door. Whore. I stop leaving. Stop eating. Stop answering calls. The gallery fires me via email. But survival is a stubborn beast. I find a therapist named Dr. Vega, whose office smells of lemongrass and patience. She does not flinch when I recount Leonard's fists, Rachel's treachery, Stanley's crimes. Guilt is a liar, she says. You must separate what you did from who you are. I tell her I do not know the difference anymore. Months pass. I work at a bookstore, shelving novels with endings less shattered than mine. I attend AA meetings in church basements, sipping bitter coffee as strangers share stories that mirror my own. I plant a garden on my fire escape, succulents that thrive on neglect. One evening, as I deadhead brittle petals, a knock startles me. Leonard leans in the doorway, a shadow in a leather jacket. His knuckles are scarred, his smile a razor. Miss me? The air curdles. I reach for my phone. He grabs my wrist. Not so fast. You owe me. His breath reeks of nicotine and spite. Stanley's hiding millions offshore. The feds don't know yet. But if they find out, he trails off, letting the threat dangle. My pulse thunders. What do you want? Money. A cut of what he stole. He steps closer, his voice a serpent's hiss. You help me track it, or I send the IRS every shred of proof I have. They'll lock him up, and you will be the widow who knew everything. I yank free. Get out. He laughs, tossing a burner phone onto the table. You have 48 hours. Or your fresh start. He gestures to my therapy journals, the sobriety chip on the windowsill. Poof. The door slams. I sink to the floor, the chip digging into my palm. One day at a time, they say in meetings. But the past is a hungry ghost. Stanley's face flickers in my mind. The man I loved, the stranger I betrayed, the fugitive who left me to burn. If I turn him in, I reclaim power. If I stay silent, I become Leonard's accomplice. Again, the phone buzzes. Unknown number. I answer. To every viewer who stayed until the end, this story was a storm I never saw coming. If it gripped you, haunted you, please let me know in the comments. What would you do in Kathleen's shoes? Could you forgive? Fight back? Share your thoughts, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support fuels these raw, real tales. Together, we keep the truth alive. Until next time, Kathleen Hartman.